Hello everyone, it is time to review the final season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. You know, we've reviewed every other season so far. This one is the end. The final season of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. Not one that I ever saw on TV. It's one that I saw much later. And it's there's a lot of it that I really like. And then it's just some parts of it are just kind of strange. So it's actually separated into like 3 different stories. Kind of 4 if you want to take another little piece of that out. So unlike something like a few of the other seasons where it's just all one storyline, no, this one's divided up. You could technically skip the first half of this season and understand the story just fine, because the first half of the season is completely unrelated type of thing. So the first 14 episodes are the Kaiba Corporation's Grand Championship, another stupid championship where, you know, it's a tournament type of thing, really short, really quick and easy. Episodes 15 through 26, which that is the halfway point for the season, is Capsule Monsters. And then for the rest of the season, essentially episodes 27 through 47 is the Dawn of the Duel is what it's called. And then the final few episodes, 48 through 52, is called the Final Duel. So the first half of it, you can just skip. You know, that's really not anything too important. It's not important to the story at all. And for the second half, you could actually watch that, and really, that is what I really like. So let's just briefly summarize the first, kind of 2 parts here, because while out of all of this, what I dislike the most is definitely the first part, the KC Grand Championship thing. It's like, you don't want another stupid tournament. It's like you're just sick of all these stupid tournaments. But of course, Kaiba has another stupid tournament. He's not competing in it this time, but he's there. But what's interesting is Grandpa also competes in the tournament. Yugi's grandpa, and they don't even recognize him. It's like, are you guys that dumb? Are you guys that dumb? You guys are dumb. Absolutely dumb. But anyway, the whole story revolves around this man named Siegfried von Schroeder. And apparently, he was kind of Kaiba's young... Like, Kaiba knew him when he was much younger, and Kaiba beat him to a lot of different things. And that was actually a very major problem for Siegfried, so he wanted to seek revenge. He wanted to destroy the Kaiba Corporation, so he entered the tournament. He was like an expert hacker, and he hacked into all the systems and everything. And he wanted revenge, is what he ended up doing. And then once Kaiba found out who he was, Kaiba dueled him, and then, that was the end of him. But he had a little spy inside of there, which was this kid named Leon, who was essentially his brother. And it gave him this special card, and when he played the card, it caused a virus within the Kaiba system here. But then Leon didn't want that to happen, so he got really upset, but yeah, it was this card that caused all this virus and all this sort of stuff. But then Yugi ended up finally defeating him, and things kind of went back, and it's like, get out of my life forever. And also, Mokuba's voice actor is different in the English version, and it's not good. It's like, his voice was already annoying as it was. Now it's even more annoying. Even worse. So that is the first little part. You could skip that. The second part, Capsule Monsters. I actually really like Capsule Monsters. So the whole team goes to India, and there's this ancient game within this pyramid in India, and they are looking for, again, Yugi's grandpa. He's gone missing again. He got sucked into this ancient game on this ancient board, where you have capsules instead of cards. And this is really interesting because these capsule monsters are essentially your guardians. Like, when they get attacked and when they get hurt, you feel the pain as well. So it's really, really interesting. And they have to solve puzzles and trials in order to gain the power to control the entire world. But Yugi doesn't want that power. The Pharaoh does not want that power, but there are other people who do. And the person who wanted it was actually Alexander the Great. That's what this is all about. It's Alexander the Great. He wanted power a long time ago. And he kind of split his like personality in two, essentially. And then you have, you know, the evil side, and then the good side. The good side is trying to stop the evil side. The evil side is trying to control the entire world and all this sort of stuff. But apparently, it's his evil side who had the Millennium Ring way back in the day. You know that evil thing that controlled Bakura. So, you know, after all of that, the Pharaoh won. He got the power to control the entire world, but he chose not to do it. So. So that is that for like those sections. I really do like the Capsule Monsters. It's different. But now onto the actual really good thing. So I actually really, really like the next section of the anime. And I think what it does is it gives you a really deep background as to where the whole story of Duel Monsters originated. And that's what's so nice. It's called Dawn of the Duel. And just like the name applies, it actually takes you back to ancient Egypt, to when this all started. So the whole mission is, the whole premise of this entire show is that, you know, the Pharaoh is within Yugi's body. He doesn't know why he's there. He doesn't have memory, but he wants to regain this memory and realize what he was meant to do here. Okay? And that is what it's all leading up to, this final season. And even though they've had all these, you know, fights and battles with all these people who want to take over the world, and, you know, the whole Duelist Kingdom and Merrick, and then that Dark Sky and all this other stuff, that's nothing compared to the true evil villain of the entire series, which is Bakura. Bakura, Yugi's friend, and then controlled by the Millennium Ring. He's this evil version of himself, Bakura, evil Bakura. So the whole premise is that, if you remember, Bakura, like way back in, like, I think the first season, or I think it was maybe the second season, the beginning of the second season, I don't remember exactly, but he had put part of himself in Yugi's Millennium, you know, puzzle. So you don't see anything about that for like a long time, and here's where it all comes into play. Because what ends up happening is that the Pharaoh, he has to go back to ancient Egypt, and he has to put all of the Millennium pieces into the ancient stone, you know, guided by the Ishtar family. That is what they've been set up to do. You know, Merrick, waiting for the Pharaoh's return. We learned about that about Merrick's backstory, and why he got so mad and controlled by evil and everything. He didn't want to wait for the Pharaoh. But now it's finally time. You know, Ishizu, Odion, and Merrick are all there to help the Pharaoh get back. So this is where it gets really interesting, because they travel back to ancient Egypt, and in order for this whole process to take place, the Pharaoh has to go back in time and relive the events that happened in the past. And you learn so much about this. You learn about where all this darkness came from, and how Duel Monsters started. And I found this really, really fascinating, because Duel Monsters, you know, created by a Pegasus, he actually used, you know, a lot of the ancient Egyptian type of ways that they ended up playing back in the day. So what the ancient Egyptians did, as depicted in the anime, is that there was darkness within people's hearts. This darkness would manifest as monsters, and these monsters would come out. And what they would do is that they would use the Millennium items to extract these monsters and put them into a stone tablet, and then they could use those for battles using their ancient Egyptian duel desk, which was called like Dionkadonk or something, Badonkadonk. I don't know, but Dionkadonk. I don't know, Diodonk. I don't remember how to pronounce it, but they would use that, and they would bring out these creatures to battle other evil. So I found that really, really interesting. So then it goes into the story of Bakura as well. And Bakura was actually a thief back in his village, and there were these, well, he became a thief rather, after the events that ended up happening, and there was, the village that he lived in was there was so much evilness within the people's hearts. And the Pharaoh's father at the time, which was another, ancient Egyptian pharaoh, which is not, Yugi's grandpa, not him, but his pharaoh father had gone to this village and extracted, all these souls out of people, and he used those evil spirits to create the Millennium Items. So the Millennium Items, starting point is essentially evil at that point, which is never a good thing. You're starting from something that is evil there. So Bakura was the only survivor. He's the only one who did not get captured by his having all this evilness sucked out of him. And because of that, he developed so much anger and hatred, and he wanted revenge. So now you're starting to see a bit of the story as to what actually transpired here and what actually happened. So then Bakura tries to, get into in the ancient Egyptian time when Yugi is the pharaoh, tries to overpower the pharaoh, and they can't capture the evilness that is within him. He's just too powerful. And he mentions that his whole purpose is to bring back this ancient creature known as Zork, which is the creator of the Shadow Realm, and he wants to envelop the entire world in darkness and control the entire world. So pretty bad. So then it's this constant battle against Bakura and Yugi, the pharaoh, and it's just really, really intense because it's just non-stop. But it's not like an actual duel, It's actually like this ancient Egyptian duel, and I think that's just it's just really, really cool. Yugi ended up winning at one point, and then suddenly Bakura has these powers that he can rewind time. He can go back in time. So he rewound the time, understood what the pharaoh was going to do, and then altered that so he couldn't win. And then you end up learning, and this is where it just kind of lost me. It's like, why? Why did you have to do this? Why did you have to do this? I'm sure I'm sure you know exactly what we'll be talking about here if you've watched the show before. It turns out that this ancient Egyptian thing that is being played is actually a board game with the current Bakura, evil Bakura, and the current pharaoh playing a board game of ancient Egyptian, but this board game that they're playing actually controls the past. It's like, why did you even have to bring that? Why did you even have to do that? It's like, just leave that whole part out. Just pretend like everything is this ancient Egyptian stuff. Why did you have to pretend like it was a board game? And apparently, Bakura had like an hourglass, and he would flip it, and that's how he was able to reverse time and everything. And he had multiple different items he could use to alter. Like, he had a way to like freeze people. It's like, why did you even have to bring that into it? Because you just like ruined it. Once that part came into play, I'm like, that's just kind of dumb at this point. That's just dumb. That's just absolutely dumb. But anyway, so, when Yugi ended up, when the pharaoh got sucked back into this ancient Egyptian world, when he held up the 3 Egyptian god cards up at that stone tablet and everything to make him remember, and he got sucked into the Millennium Puzzle. Well, the current modern day Yugi, the young Yugi, and all of his friends also went into this puzzle. And that's how things ended up changing, because they were able to alter the past as well. Kaiba also went in as well at a later point. And of course, he thinks everything's a hologram. He doesn't accept the fact that he is an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Even seeing his ancient Egyptian self right before him, he just doesn't get it. It's like, you're a lost cause, man. You're just an absolutely lost cause. But anyway, after all of this, after all of the craziness with Bakura and the pharaoh, Bakura just seems like he's just winning against everything here, because Zork manages to be resurrected when all of the Millennium items are placed in that stone tablet back in ancient Egypt. He's just succeeding with all of this. He brings back Zork, this massive creature. The Egyptian god cards cannot defeat it. Blue Eyes White Dragon, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon cannot defeat it. None of these things can defeat it. But there is one thing. There is one thing that can defeat it. And again, this is where it just kind of loses me. It's like, okay. Apparently, the Pharaoh, he had forgotten his name when he went back in time. I mean, he just forgot his name in general. And his name is the key to locking away and freeing Zork. The power of the Pharaoh's name can lock Zork away and can release Zork. It's like, okay, that's a little dumb. That's a little dumb, I will admit, but okay. So that's when Yugi, the young Yugi, and all of his friends go down to the Egyptian tomb of the Pharaoh to try to find out what his name is, and they end up finding out his name, and it appears on the little nameplate that he has around the Pharaoh's neck and everything. So he finally realizes his name, and his name is his name is Atem. A-T-E-M, I believe is how it's spelled, Atem. So with his name, he's able to summon this creator of light against, the creator of darkness. And the creator of light destroys Zork, and then that's it. And then apparently after that, the Pharaoh resigns his position as the Pharaoh, and then the ancient Seto becomes Pharaoh. And then just like that, it's like done. It's like, what about this board game that Bakura and Yugi were playing? Do we not get an update on that at all? I mean, does it not show that anymore? It's like they showed it for like a little bit, and then they like took it away. It's like, well, we should not have put that in there. It's like, why did you put that in there? I mean, it was like so dumb. They put it in there for like a few episodes. You can see it. Like they mention it, and then you don't see it again, and it's like, whoops, we should not have done that because it was dumb. I don't know. It didn't have to be in there, and it was just stupid. It was stupid. So now that the Pharaoh is the ultimate victor and he has his name, there's only one final task for him to do. He has to put all of the modern day Millennium items into the stone, and there has to be a ritual that is performed for him to go through that ancient door and to be sealed away and to be, with his ancient Egyptian friends and just be done and just separate. So the Pharaoh has to do a duel against someone, and it has to be a worthy challenge. Kaiba obviously offered, Kaiba wants to kick the Pharaoh's butt, but it's like, Kaiba's not going to be able to kick his butt. So Yugi, young Yugi and the Pharaoh, split. So there's two different bodies, the young one and then the Pharaoh, and then they duel. They actually duel. And you would think, oh, well, look, I mean, it's going to be the Pharaoh, obviously, who ends up winning, because the Pharaoh brings out all the Egyptian god cards, he has all these strategies, and it's just intense back and forth with little slivers of their life points coming off. But young Yugi ends up winning. He really does. Young Yugi ends up winning, and that's what ended up happen. This ritual, the Pharaoh had to lose. The Pharaoh had to lose, so he had to have a worthy opponent, and it had to be something that was really, really intense. And this is what's really interesting as well, because once we get towards the end, the separation, everyone is sad to see the Pharaoh go. Atem has to go through that ancient door, reunite with his past friends and everything, and that's pretty much it. He goes through there, says goodbye to his current friends, and then Yugi is just with his friends. They all have to escape at that point, including, everyone has to escape the tomb, because then it comes collapsing down. All the Egyptian items, Millennium items, are inside. No one can get to them to bring about any more evil at that point. They're all sealed and locked away for good. Hopefully. And all this time, I'm just thinking, Bakura, because Bakura is there, the good Bakura, because the evil Bakura is gone at that point. I'm just thinking, is there something more with this guy? Is this guy going to turn evil again? Is there going to be more to this? Because I just felt as though it just was not over, but it was over. Just like that, it ended so quickly, and the last lines from Yugi were, sometimes the end of one adventure is just the beginning of another, and I'm just like, it just ended so quickly. It's like there had to be more. There had to be more. So I checked out the Japanese ending of it. After the credits of the Japanese version, there's actually a little section of Yugi running out of Grandpa's store, meeting up with his friends as they're heading to school, while he says that his journey has just begun, and it just seems much happier there. Like there's actually a little bit of a conclusion, but then that's literally the end. That's the end of the whole series, and it's like, I understand, I guess, if it's made for a younger audience, maybe not to have anything that's like super emotional and just ending, but it just didn't feel like it ended. You know what I mean? It just did not feel like it really ended. And just kind of upsetting because the whole that whole last part of that final season was just amazing. I actually think I would rank it among, if not, I don't know if I would rank it my favorite, but really, really close to my favorite. Like, I loved the whole thing with darts. I loved the Duelist Kingdom. I loved the Battle City tournament, as well as the battles with Merrick and everything. I liked all of that, but I also loved the ancient Egyptian stuff because it's so different. It's so different, and it's so cool. But then they bring in that stupid, oh, it's a board game. And then, oh, we talked about the board game, but then we're not going to bring up the board game ever again, because that was kind of dumb. And then it just ends like a snap of a finger. And then like the whole series ends, and it's like, I didn't like how it all ended. It was just really, I mean, I did like the ending. I just don't like how rushed it was at the end, and it seemed like there could have been more involved, I guess, but it was just so quick, so quick. But that's it for Yu-Gi-Oh. So yeah, I do very much enjoy the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. I would like, definitely, if they had an English dub of the Japanese version, like fully to completion, I would definitely watch it again. But we will see. Now, I have seen Yu-Gi-Oh GX as well a few years back, actually probably 10 years back, to be honest with you. I watched all that, but everything past that I have not watched. So at some point I'll probably do Yu-Gi-Oh GX and review that, but it's very different. I mean, I really liked the original one because it focuses on like the ancient Egyptian stuff and saving the world, with this pharaoh. What does the guy from Yu-Gi-Oh GX have? I mean, it's like it's just not the same. It's like I'm not going to get into Yu-Gi-Oh GX, but it's a different feeling. And then now there's like Yu-Gi-Oh 7s and all this crap, and it's like, what is all this? I don't know what all this stuff is. I just like the original one. That's like the best one. But you have a story involved with like the card games, all this sort of stuff, and now you know the origin of the Duel Monsters. This ancient Egyptian stuff, the evil souls in people's hearts. I think that's really, really interesting. I really do. I really like that. And now that you know that, it's like, oh. So, anyway, you all take care. Have a great one. Let me know what your thoughts are on this final season of Yu-Gi-Oh. If you've seen it, you all take care. Have a great one, and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.